Xr650L. That's a 2021 model, and it's my bike. What do you think of that? Change the gas tank. Well, imagine that. Hell, I guess that just kind of brings me to a point. First of all, I rode down here to get some scenic views. I don't know what creek this is, but who cares? It's just a creek. But anyway, on the XR, you know, ever since I bought the XR, people, or I've read on different forums and different videos and stuff, and they talk about the mods and the modifications you can make on your bike. All right, well, I'm here to let you know my views and my takes on the modification on the bike. Okay, first of all, I want to start about talking about the Xr650 sprocket. Okay, I bought one, I put it on, I ran it for 2 days, I took it back off. You're going, well, why in the hell would you do something like that? Give what, I think it was $30 some for a sprocket, and everybody recommends you change to the Xr650, and so why in the hell do I gotta be different? Well, I'm gonna tell you the reason why I'm different. The Xr650 sprocket, down there on the splines, as far as the width of the splines, it's thicker, okay? And you think, well, if the more surface you have, the less wear you're gonna have. And that's very true, that is very true. But every coin has two sides, okay? So I put the Xr650 sprocket on there, and I ran it for 2 days. And I got a lot of noise, and it seemed like I got more of a, what do you want to call it, the chug, chug, chug. Anybody that rides an Xr650L knows what I'm talking about, the chug, chug, chug. You know, it's like that's just the nature of the beast, because they don't have the cush drive. So what you do is you're actually feeling the chain and the motor and the back wheel all kind of doing the thing at the same time. You can feel it. But anyway, with the Xr650 sprocket, it seemed like that was worse. And I thought, well, what the hell? You know, this is supposed to be an upgrade. It's supposed to be something better for everybody. So I used to be a tool and die maker a long time ago. And I worked maintenance for, well, 20 years before I retired. So I was always making parts for machines and stuff. So I know how to use mills, lathes, and indicators and stuff like this, right? So I have a mechanical background. I have a kind of a, what do you want to call it? I make parts background, okay? But anyway, so I put the Xr650 sprocket on there, and I jacked the back tire up and took the chain off of it and stuff. And I put an indicator on the sprocket. And first of all, I wanted to check the rotation this way, how much slop it had, okay? And I did that and had about like 15,000 slop. That means it's got 15,000 slop in the splines, okay? I thought, well, that's not real good. And so then I did it this way, back and forth, okay? And it had about 10 or 12,000 slop. I'm going, man, that's just unacceptable. When I was making parts, you know, you dealt in a plus or minus 1 or a plus or minus 2. Anything after that, it was junk. But anyway, I thought, well, they know what they're doing. So anyway, I put the regular sprocket back on there, and I did this, and it had about 10,000. I'm going, well, that's a little bit tighter. And then I did this, and it only had like 8,000. I'm going, that's still a little tighter yet. And I thought, well, so why should I go with more contact area, more slop, and we're just going to see what happens. But and another thing, the reason why it was making so much noise is if you look at the sprockets when they're cut the U like this, just imagine my fingers, the teeth on the sprocket, and the U is where your chain rides, okay? On the stock sprocket, it was like this. On the Xr650, it was like this. It was wider, and it made more noise. So that means whenever your chain would stretch, or whenever you get more wear on your chain, it would actually have to go further. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but anyway, I didn't like it. And then the teeth on the sprocket, like if you got your sprocket like this, okay, and you're looking at the teeth, the side teeth, the Xr650, the teeth were real narrow. On the standard sprocket, they're wider. So that means they fit in the chain better, and to me, it gave me less noise. So I took the Xr650 off. That's just my opinion. That's just my take on it. I think it's junk, okay? But what I'm going to keep an open mind about it. And what I'll do is I've got a little over 3,000 miles in that bike now. And so what I'll do at 6,000 miles, I'll pull it all back apart there, and I'll check that shaft. I'm gonna know how it's wearing. And a good rule of thumb is, and this is something that nobody really does, but one of my viewers told me this, keep that sprocket oiled. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Keep it oiled. It'll help. So anyway, I took the Frisco sprocket off of it. I've still got it. I don't like it. And that's, everybody's got their own opinion. But like I said, I don't get near as much chug when I'm running down the road, and I don't get near as much noise, chain noise. I could hear the chain noise running down the road, and I didn't like it. So now the way it is, I like it. But anyway, that's my take on the Frisco sprocket. I don't like it. If I have to, I'll use it. But anyway, so now another modification I made to the bike here is I did take off that Smog stuff, as you can see, okay? And the one thing I recommend everybody doing, if you ever got an Xr650 is take off that Smog crap. Mine was real easy. I just had to take off the 4 bolts for the 2 little pipes in front there and put the plates back on there. And I had 2 lines to plug. One small vacuum line. There's a Y up there underneath the seat by the top of the carburetor. I just put one of those little rubber caps on that. And the other was just a plug that goes in the air filter. And mine was real easy, real simple. As you can see, it's still got the oil separators. I left that on there because I just want to keep that. Okay, that's that thing right here. That's the oil separator. But anyway, I kept it on there. And I'll tell you what, I could not believe the difference it made in that bike, taking that Smog crap off there. Well, next month I'll be 70 years old, okay? And I ain't got no business doing no damn wheelies and stuff, but that thing, it brings that front wheel up a lot easier than what it did. And, but anyway, I advise everybody take the Smog off her, and it's just, and we need to change the legislation as far as that Smog shit goes on imported motorcycles. Okay, it's horse shit. It's all it is. It's just plain horse shit, and we need to change it because if you go from, well, I'm just going to use numbers as an example. We'll say you get 40 miles a gallon, okay, with your Smog shit. So you run along there and you take your Smog shit off, and all of a sudden you're getting 55 miles a gallon. Well, it seemed to me like you're putting out less pollution if you're getting more miles per gallon than if you had the Smog shit on, you're only getting 45. It's like, it's kind of like it's a no-brainer. It's common sense, But anyway, that's just my take on that. And now the third thing is the gas tank. All right. Now before you change the gas tank, something to think about is where are you going to ride it? And the reason why I say that is I went from I think it was like 2.7, 2 point whatever it is standard gas tank was, and this here is like a 4 point. Well, it's almost 5 gallons. Or maybe it is 5. I don't know. But anyway, it's almost twice as big. And the reason why I say where you're going to ride it, if you're going to do single tracking, okay, and you think you're going to do single tracking on Xr650L, which is capable of doing it, leave the standard tank on there. And you're thinking, well, I have to get gas more often. Yeah, but if you're single tracking, that means you're not going to be too far from your truck anyway. And when you stop and think about it, gasoline is, I think it's just slightly lighter than water, but water is 8 pounds a gallon. So if you've got 2 gallons or 2.5 gallons of extra gas up there that high on the bike, that's 16 pounds. And if it's 2.5 gallon extra, that's close to 20 pounds. Okay, so 20 pounds on the top end of the bike makes a world of difference. Now for me, it doesn't make a difference because I'm old school and I'm used to having the gas tanks up high, and it don't bother me. Matter of fact, for me, the gas tank being high like that, I have better control because that's the way I learned to ride. But some of you newer riders, they've put the gas tanks down low and put fuel pumps in them and all that, and they said, you know, keep your center of gravity low. Well, if that's the way you learn to ride, then that's the way you're gonna have to ride. I don't like it. But anyway, that's just neither here nor there. But anyway, so you gotta ask yourself where you're gonna ride this thing. Now, for me, the way I ride, the big tank is a godsend because right now I'm at 94 miles on this tank of gas. And normally that's where I gotta get gas. It's about 90, 94, 95 miles. Otherwise this thing will be wanting to go on reserve and sucking air. But I'm gonna just see how much I can get out of this tank. Like I said, it's got 94 miles on it now, and I think I can get almost double miles. I'm expecting about 200-mile range. I could be wrong, but that's what I'm shooting for. Oh, and another thing that you got to remember on your stock tank, the way it drapes over your frame there, you on the right side there, on the opposite side of your petcock, you never use that gas unless you tip the bike over, you know, when you're down low. There's probably, I don't know, maybe a pint or maybe a pint and a half of gas that you never use. But with these big tanks, it does have a crossover hose, and so you can get down to every ounce of gas. Well, you can see it or not, but that's the main feed line, and there, right there's a Y right here, and that one Y there goes to the other side, so you can use all the gas. But I got mine on. I got both of them on regular tank, and so when it gets down where I'm looking for gas, or you know, I need to put on reserve, I can put both of them on reserve and use all my gas. So, but anyway, Frisco sprocket, I don't like it. The bigger tank, if you're going to do road riding and exploring and stuff like this, absolutely. If you're going to try to do single tracking and racing, all this kind of stuff, I wouldn't bother. And that gets me, if you're out there going to try to race this thing, then buy the Xr650, you know, to begin with. You know, it's like, why do you want to buy a dual sport and then knock mirrors off of it, knock the turn signals off of it? It's a dual sport. It's made to ride on the road. So it's kind of like, yeah, you know, but you do what you want. The gas tank, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do some off-road riding, I wouldn't bother. If you're going to do on-road riding and a lot of exploring like I do, you know, then you're going to have to get used to that extra 16 pounds top weight, which, like I said, for me, it's Mach Nix. It don't bother me. Did it change the way this bike handled? I don't notice any difference. But like I said, I'm used to having, you know, a higher center of gravity. So, but anyway, I just wanted to kind of run through my thoughts and my takes on some of this stuff. I still do got to get me some bark busters, you know, like I said, not for single tracking, because like whenever I drop it, and you know I'm going to drop it. But anyway, that's kind of my take on the XR. The bike's a wonderful bike. It's a great machine. I mean, it just hums down the road there. I run 40, 45 miles an hour there, and it just happy as a hog in a shit lot. I love it. It's a great bike. But like I said, you gotta know what you're going to ride and how you're going to ride it before you decide on what you want. And you know, give it a lot of thought. Go out and look at bikes, sit on bikes, all this kind of crap, you know, and make up your mind. But XL, high seat height, I still gotta get my seat ordered. I ain't done it yet. But outside of that, that's the next thing I'll probably do is either the seat or the back rack. It does need a rack. And you know what? I'm gonna put a milk crate on that sucker too. I got new bags for it, but I don't know. Whatever works, right? But anyway, hey, that's kind of my take on some of the modifications. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just trying to give you a different point of view. Think about what you're doing before you do it, okay? Because you can always put it back, but that just gives you double work. So anyway, hey, ride safe, Ride free. That's enough of that.